Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show hosted by a basement dweller who grew up scrounging terrible fan subs on sketchy websites prior to the convenience of modern streaming, alongside a willfully ignorant soul whose only knowledge of anime comes from the shows forced upon him here. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and copious amounts of adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And if a man has murdered his wife under mysterious circumstances, all that's found at the scene of the crime is some scissors, an ice cube, and some shattered lipstick all smeared around, then why am I still looking for meaning in this void of a world?
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
And Remington, I have got something new and interesting for you.
Oh, new and interesting. All right, cool. We're done with anime. We've moved on. You know.
Yeah, no, that's it.
It's old news now.
Yeah, no,
the anime train has left the station.
Anime Out of Context is no more. We're shifting gears. It'll still be called Anime Out of Context. But
well, let me ask you, Shaun.
Yeah.
If we were to jump on something,
yeah,
very trendy.
Yep.
You know, just what kind of name one trendy topic that we could do a pod. Just any trendy topic, Shaun. Anything that is currently trendy.
That isn't anime, right?
Yeah.
Something.
Anything that is trendy in pop culture right now, Shaun. What would that be? Just one thing for me.
I think, what the fuck came out of my mouth just there? Taylor Swift has a new album, I think.
You know what? You're right. You are right. I will give you a pass. I'll let you have it.
Okay, thank God, because the only reason I know that is because I follow some podcasters who are Taylor Swift fans.
I'll give you that. Can you emphasize any of the reasons why Taylor has been in the news lately? Beyond just an album releasing, anything notable or special?
I think the album release had redone versions of her songs, and one of the songs was a particularly tell-all type song about one of her past relationships, and was basically a hey, fuck this guy, am I right?
Turns out, Shaun, it's just been a Swiftie all along. All right.
Is that what they're called?
So moving on from Swift out of context.
Out of context.
Now that we've
if Taylor Swift does want to come on the podcast, we'd be happy to have her, though.
What the fuck are we doing?
Oh, we're talking about anime again, Rem. Yeah, no. But it is a new anime. So new, in fact, that it's new this season.
Okay, all right.
And I've been listening to your complaints. You've been feeling a little lackluster lately. We've had quite a few bad ones and some mediocre ones lately. And I figured, you know what? He's kind of right. I should try and remedy that a little bit. So I have picked something of a genre that we haven't really touched on in quite frankly, a decently long time.
Okay.
And that is I'm going to call it a cute fantasy slice of life.
We almost never do fantasy or slice of life.
But this one is cute.
Is it an isekai?
No, it's proper fantasy.
All right, cool.
Yeah, no, proper fantasy with just the cute element. I wanted to emphasize the cute. Rem, you like cute things.
I do like cute things. All right, tell me more about this cute thing.
Well, unfortunately, the cute thing is not an animal.
All right, well, that loses about 80% of my interest, but continue.
The cute thing is the main character. Because today, Remington, we're going to be watching a little anime called Osama Ranking.
K.
Why the forceful K?
You know, I just have a troubled history with ranking anything, but that's my own personal baggage.
Really, Rem? Why do you have such issues with ranking things?
long-term listeners are familiar, and short-term listeners don't need that thrust upon them. New listeners don't need that to add on to it.
Well, don't worry, Rem, because you're not the one that's going to be ranking this show. The show itself is. Because Osama Ranking is a pretty simple title. It essentially is a ranking of kings, or King's Ranking is the title of the show. And this lovely little show is about our main character, whose name is Boji.
Good old Boji.
And Boji is a prince. He is
what the fuck? It's not a king? This is bullshit.
Well, not yet. I mean, hey, Rem, spoiler alert. But in order to be a king, you first have to be a prince, usually.
Is he gonna kill his dad? Gonna be like, Dad, you don't understand. The title of the show is King's Ranking, so
bad news. And we are in an anime, so...
So for like every reason, Dad, you gotta...
Yeah, I didn't want it to be this way. And, look, it's not me, it's you. It's just the way these things have to go. But no, it stars Prince Boji, and he is deaf and cannot speak.
Okay.
And he is kind of known for he's kind of considered the useless prince because he's kind of, I wouldn't say stupid. I would say, a little on the naive and a little on the lighthearted side, but he can't really hear or speak, so he views the world in a different way. And while he may not be the most, physically strong young lad, he... definitely has like one of those big good hearts in him.
Okay, all right.
And one day he has an encounter with a strange shadow creature.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's where I thought this was going.
Oh yeah,
it's a cute, adorable show, and then a shadow creature comes, a creature from the nightmare realm.
When you see what this shadow creature looks like, whose name is Kage, by the way, which is literally shadow. You'll understand the true depths of hell that he has sprouted from, I'm sure. He, rather than being terrified of this strange shadow creature, he's like, hey, look, it's a friend. And does...
All right, so standard, D&D party nonsense, where it's like, here's a terrible beast, and you're like, all right, I would like to roll for animal handling and see if it can be my best friend in the world.
Exactly. It's like running into the random goblin in the tavern that's just called Boblin the Goblin, and you're like, yes, this is the one we're keeping alive and staking with us. Cute little comic series, by the way, Boblin the Goblin. And it is, he's so, innocent and pure of heart that rather than being terrified of this little creature, he wants to make it his friend. And essentially, after this chance encounter, it's the story of our little friend's adventure to become a very well-respected and beloved king in his own right.
And step one, he gotta become a king, so little shadow friend is gonna help him plot a murder.
Grisly murder.
Good old slice of life political assassination, I don't think there's enough political intrigue and murder in slice of life moe bullshit.
Exactly. I feel like adorable little children who befriend shadows should, kill their dads more regularly.
It's just how it goes.
I just feel like...
You heard it here first, kids. If a shadow creature tells you to kill your parents, Shaun thinks, go for it.
Okay, wait, hold on.
That is a Shaun Rollins approved quote.
No, wait, hold on. I don't think we can say that, Rem.
If the voices from the darkness tell you to kill your parents, go for it, kiddos. Shaun Rollins, 2021.
Oh, God. Oh, this is why we have a disclaimer. Thank Christ we have a disclaimer. I love you, Dylan, so much for your deep, dulcet tones that tell us that we're not experts and you shouldn't listen to us ever.
I don't know, Shaun. I think I'm teaming with the shadow creatures over here.
Oh, but honestly, Rev, this is just kind of a very cute...
Brought to you by...
Meow, meow, fuzzy face.
That's gonna have to get cut out.
That is definitely gonna have to get cut.
That's just for you, Shaun.
That
one's for you.
Oof. That hurt me deep inside, Rem. But yeah, and this is just a little cute show about little Prince Boji trying to become friends with everybody and conquering his various fears so that he can be a well-respected king.
All right. I mean, sounds pretty straightforward. Sounds like it has potential to be adorable, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those shows, Rem, that's not really like hard to explain. Like, it's really straightforward.
It's not a complex show.
No.
It's not one that, like, I'm going to be poring over the symbolism and deeper themes.
Yeah, no, it's not Odd Taxi. It is not Odd Taxi.
Yeah.
This is a cute show about a cute boy and a weird shadow creature doing, like, friendship things. Which,
It's going to be nice, because we have been in, like, edgy boy purgatory for, like, 2 months, where not everything we've done has been total edgelord nonsense, but, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 out of the past 8 things, I think, have been edgelord shit.
I mean, it's the leftover hangover from Halloween, man. You know I can't get rid of that.
All right, cool. All right, well, let's Boji it up.
I don't know if that's a verb, Rem.
Let's get big, bougie, and Boji, baby.
Fuck, if we titled episodes after, like, lines we said in the series, in the show itself, that would be the title of the episode. Bougie and Boji. that coming soon to Fox 13. Anyway, let's go into it. Let's go watch some Osama Ranking.
Previously,
Sure, alright. I'll solve a murder, why not?
up next.
What the fuck was this show? Boji is a nasty boy.
Now, back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after watching 5 whole episodes of Ranking of Kings. And Remington wasn't exactly dishonest with you about what we were going to watch. Just happened to be a little bit of genocide here and there. That's all. Just a touch.
What the fuck was this show? You know, Shaun.
Yeah?
You know,
Yeah?
in, like, especially I think middle school is the peak for this. There were a handful of, like, significant fantasy books that I read, right? None of which I recall anything about now, to be clear.
Right.
And so often, while reading those, like, some stuff was cool, but there was just, like, a whole lot going on at any given time, and it was difficult to, like, keep track of, and you could definitely tell that it was very much in the genre of fantasy rather than for any type of, like, broader audience, right? It was the fantasy that you're going and you're like, hey, just give me fantasy, choose a random one, like that kind of book, right? And that doesn't mean any of them were bad. It just means that they throw everything at you, and you're like, all right, yep, this is fantasy, baby. But after finishing those books, I would as I am unable to now, I wouldn't be able to, like, remember too much of them. I would just move on to the next thing, right? I feel similarly in that I just had such a barrage of shit hit me. Like, for those listening, if you've not seen Ranking of Kings, oh, you're fucked. You're gonna be real confused by the end of this episode. Strap in.
Probably because you were confused, and you're the one who's actually seen the episodes, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, that's why I made you watch 5 whole episodes of it, because I was like, how confused can I make him for the second half of this episode? The answer, apparently, is quite a bit.
Yeah. Yes. All right, let's start with episode 1. The most normal episode.
Oh, easily the most normal episode.
So episode 1, we start as you mentioned. Boji, he's running around. He meets a shadowy eye monster that mugs him. He freely gives all his clothes away, and it's like, hey, bring me back more clothes. So he just keeps returning with more clothes, more fancy clothes to give the shadowy eye monster. And
yeah, he's a nice kid, you know?
Yeah, he's like friendship. Someone's paying attention to me and understands me. And he's mocked by kids in the village for constantly just being in his underpants, right? He gets a lecture from the queen, just being like, hey, this isn't how you should be handling yourself. You need to start taking your training more seriously. And it turns out he's crying because he's not just always happy. In fact, he's cripplingly sad. He just puts on a mask. He just puts on a facade of happiness all the time. Which you'd think would be a major theme. It's for some reason just not. It's like a thing. It's a thing. But not that they care much about. Which is weird. It feels like it should be more important. Mm-hmm. That the kid is like hyper aware and everyone like treats him as if he isn't and thus treats him just like absolute shit, and he still like has a smile on his face and seems just oblivious and happy, but like he's not, and he's actually super distraught about it. Mm-hmm. This is the only time it's been brought up in the 5 episodes. This is the only moment.
Well, I mean, he's a pretty like shonen happy protagonist type of kid normally anyways, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but as we're led to believe, like, that's what he's displaying isn't always true. It's real weird. It's a weird choice, and you'll have me repeating that again. So he ends up, he has to go visit the king. Shadow, meanwhile, does the Shadow get a name? I can't recall.
Yeah, it's Kage.
Kage! Alright, Kage meets Bebin, the snake handler swordsman. Who is like, you're part of the Shadow Clan, you gotta go. And so the Kage, he tries to run. Boji, he visits the sickly king, who's a giant, by the way. Boji, very small. His dad, literal giant. Not figuratively, in a literal sense, he is a giant. We get some backstory on the king and how he kicked some orc horde ass. But now he's coughing blood. He's on his deathbed. A new king will have to be chosen soon, and it's gonna be Boji. And he's like, "Hey, Boji, you've got this. I love you." Kage tries to attack it and then just disappears. Versus Bebin, the snake handler. Meanwhile, we get to sword training with Boji, right? And Boji, he's not doing great. But then Daiada, Boji's brother, and who most people think is the far more competent brother and more deserving to be king, right? Mm-hmm. Shows up and is like, "Hey, Domas?"
Yeah, Domas.
Domas, like Tomas, but Domas. Yeah. All right. Who's like the best swordsman in the world ever. Mm. Who's trying to train Boji. Daiada, he's arrogant, so he's like, "Hey, Domas, bring it, bitch." And Daiada is very talented, so it's like, all right, let's see. Domas wins. But he's like, "Oh my god, this kid, that's a good match right there. God damn." But then Boji sees to what's going on, and Boji, like, maybe a moment of insecurity, he challenges Daiada. So little Boji versus Daiada, and Boji, we get a flashback that Boji had something with snakes, and as it turns out, he dodged a bunch of snakes effortlessly. And he dodges all of Daiada's attacks, just dodging seamlessly. In the end of the episode, he ends up hitting Daiada rather gently in the head.
Yeah, the boy ain't made for swinging swords, really.
No, he's meant for avoiding damage. So yeah, he just hits him, and that's the end. All right, so quite a bit. Once again, I want to reiterate, that's most normal. That the least amount that I'll have to explain is in episode 1. The least amount, and it was still a good 5 minutes of explaining.
Which is what you want in an episode 1.
So there's a lot. So episode 2, the Shadow Clan, which is the little eyeball shadow monsters, we get backstory on them being massacred.
Like, if these were human-shaped things, this would be, like...
It's really fucked up.
It'd be one of the most gruesome sights we've seen in a while, and we watched Castlevania recently. Yeah,
Kage and its mother are trying to run away. Little baby Kage has a little toy, little wooden toy. The son, eventually the mom is like, "Hey, you gotta go, I'll take care of them." And Kage is like, "Okay," and he runs away. And then the mom is like brutally fucked over and murdered. But Kage is found, before he's found by a patrol, he's found by a princess?
Yes, the
young princess
of
girl.
of the kingdom that the Shadow Clan served before.
There's a lot of
yeah.
different royal dominions.
Oh yeah. It's called ranking of kings, mate, not ranking of random other bits. You gotta have a lot of kings if you're gonna rank
the
them.
young princess and her like advisor or whatever the fuck, they find Kage and hide Kage into her toy, and the patrol goes and continues on, doesn't kill Kage, but Kage does like see his dead mom, which is pretty fucked. Then Kage, he goes into town, right? New town. He's gradually starving to death, and he's like, all right. So he trades his one and only remnant from his mother, his dead mother, the little toy horse. He tries to trade that for food, but instead he just receives a beating and loses the toy. But he's fed rotten scraps. Is it from a good Samaritan? No, it's by this big asshole thief. And he has Kage clean the dishes for him before using Kage to do some thieving. But then one day he's drunk and he sees that there's a bounty on the Shadow's head. So he turns in Kage. And Kage narrowly escapes, and Kage tries to return back, and the thief is like, nah, get the fuck out of here. You're useless to me now. And then when we know Kage becomes a thief himself, right? Mm-hmm. We don't see that transition. It's just sort of like it happens. It's just like a pseudo, like he's not a thief, he's not a thief, he's not a thief, he's now a thief. And it's real, it's some weird storytelling. It's like, we don't see how he got to now, rather we see how he got to a certain point, and then by the way, he got to the way we know him now. It's like normally how this works, right? Mm-hmm. You're at the final stage, we'll call it stage 10, right? And maybe we meet them at 10 and we're like, oh wow, and then we see a sort of episode that fills in 1 through 9, and we're like, oh, and then it links up 1 through 9, and then this is how they got to 10. And you're like, oh, okay. And instead it was like, this showed us 1 through 6 and was like, yeah, 1 through 6, 10. It's like, oh, I feel like there was some stuff missing here. I feel like it's not all adding up, but that's fine. Anyway, then we come back to the story as it is now, with Boji. So, Boji doing the fight, and he's dodging effortlessly, occasionally softly hitting Daiada, and Daiada's getting frustrated, but everybody is like, nah, this is cowardly? Because, when I saw Muhammad Ali floating like a butterfly, I was like, nah, what a bitch maneuver. Just get hit in the face, bud.
I gotta say, it's quite something watching you try to reach for a sports reference, man.
Hey, this one actually works, though.
It does work. I'm not saying that it doesn't. It's very much felt like you were like, sports.
I'm not going into anything that's beyond the like super mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like you're speaking like you have some understanding of like Muhammad Ali and like his history, but all you really know was he was good at not getting hit.
I know more about his political and ideological history than I do his sports history, to give an idea.
Yeah, ditto. But yeah.
But it's just so weird that they're like, it's cowardly to dodge.
Oh.
And so Doas is like, hey, don't dodge, Boji. So Boji gets his ass kicked. And Daiada's declared the winner. Daiada also sees the dark shadow in the mirror, which we'll learn about later. Anyway, Boji's super injured, and one thing that was mentioned is he can't even lift a short sword, so he tries to lift a short sword, but he still can't really do it, because he's very small and weak. But then the Kage, little shadow, is like, hey, you and me, I got your back from this point forward, alright? It's like, cool. And that's episode 2!
Yeah.
There's just so much going on.
Oh my God.
Also, there's the weird bit, like, in the backstory of Kage and the Shadow Clan, where Kage is talking to his mom, and she's like, yeah, we're all amazing assassins. And he's like, but why? And she's like, I guess it's just because, like, we're shadows, so it's like we're good at it, I guess. Don't worry about it. And it's a really weird... just another weird moment. Oh, God. What the fuck is this show?
I mean, it's a cutesy little story about a boy who wants to be king. And there just happens to be a lot of genocide.
When you read a thing of fairy tales or even better, like folk tales, right? Old folk tales. And a lot of times you're like, yeah, sure. But then there's a lot of things where you're like, what? That's weird. And like sometimes you get the logic, sometimes you just don't. And you're like, oh, okay, that's a real weird bit. And the show is just full of that kind of thing. Where it's like, yeah, all right, I understand. What? Pardon? Anyway, episode 3, Boji is healed by someone, and Kage is caught by Snake Charmer dude, Bebin. The king has died and declares in his will that Boji shall be the new king. Also, as the king dies, a devil emerges, laughs, and disappears. That I don't think has been brought up again.
You gotta give these things time, man.
I do not think that the giant devil that appeared to everybody right after the king died and laughed and then disappears into nothing, I don't think that has been brought up or addressed. It was like, it was shown Boji remembered it. Like, when he was thinking about things, it was one of the things he thought about. We didn't see any specific thoughts about it, but it was just like he remembered it happened. What the fuck is this show?
Look, Rem, you gotta understand, these things take time to set up. Giant devils coming out of corpses, that's a very important plot point that I'm sure they're going to get into later on.
But they set up and then they're just like, don't worry about it for now. And you're like, what? I'm worried about it right now. It's taking a lot of my attention right now. And every moment that it goes unaddressed, it's just sitting there in the back of my mind like, why is no one talking about it?
Look, sometimes addressing the elephant or I suppose the devil in the room is not always what you want to do in a storytelling scenario. Sometimes you gotta leave things up to interpretation, Rem.
So then they have to do a kingly announcement in front of everybody, and they're like, the new king, and we know that in the will it was Boji, but they're like, the new king is Daiada. And Boji's like, what? And we see that the queen, who is Daiada's mother, but not Boji's mother, and thinks Daiada should be the king, she went and she vetoed the will, and a vote was held among the advisors, and it was 5-2 in favor of Daiada. So Daiada's the new king. And Boji, he's just feels so betrayed. Meanwhile, Kage, he's in the dungeon, but he cuts himself to get out. He's like on a hook, and he just cuts out a part of his body to escape. But he's immediately caught again. And Bebin's like, listen here, you motherfucker. Then we cut to a scene where Bebin goes to Boji, because Kage told him that, like, Kage just wanted to protect Boji or whatever. And Bebin is like, hey, Boji, he draws the shadow monster and is like, you know what this is? And Boji's like, hell yeah, man. And he's like, all right, well, you're not gonna see it ever again. Just a heads up. They went on a journey. And Boji's, like, traumatized.
I mean, wouldn't you be if the only person you've ever talked to and understood was just suddenly gone?
So Boji, he goes and looks for Kage. And he at one point he visits a giant 3-headed snake where it's sort of like a mix between a basilisk and a hydra. It has one head cut off, but it hasn't repaired itself like a hydra. It's just one head gone. So it has 2 heads and one just stem.
I mean, you could just call it a 3-headed snake, mate.
I guess. So this little triple snake, well, this giant triple snake, is like, sorry, Boji, can't tell you what's going on, because even though I'm obviously indebted to you, as I am, I'm also indebted to Bebin, but, you're great, and we all love you. Which is, just nice, weird scene. Daiada, meanwhile, at this time, he orders dissenters to be killed, specifically, like, the people who voted against his kingship, which, like, ruthless, but also, when it comes to kingship, like, sometimes necessary. Real fucked. Kingship, not a great political system, for a lot of reasons.
I mean, yeah, no, we have I've seen Game of Thrones. I know how it goes.
Yeah, and so the Snake Man, he attacks Spearman Apius. I think that's his name. I don't know. That's how I have it written down, so I'm gonna trust it.
Yep.
And he attacks Apius, but he ends up getting stabbed himself just by the wood of the spear. But then he's taken into the dirt. We are not. That's not addressed or explained yet either.
Well,
He's
these things take
stabbed,
time.
he falls down, and he's taken into the dirt. We've also yet to see Apius again. And wait, no, we've briefly seen Apius, but it still doesn't make sense how we got from point A to point B. Anyway, Boji, he wants to adventure, right? But the queen is like, no, you can't adventure, Boji. It's too dangerous for you. Which, yes. So Boji's like, I'm gonna escape. So he tries to climb out the window, but he's in a tower. And so he makes this shitty little blanket rope, but it's not nearly long enough. He's caught by the queen, but eventually he falls, and the queen tries to jump after him, which is the first moment that we see that the queen gives any amount of shits for Boji. Boji lands on his backpack and he's hurt, but fine. The queen runs down and she has some ultra healing magic. She was the one who healed Boji earlier. And she breaks out of her dress for some reason.
Look, you gotta have an anime power-up where part of your clothes explode off. It's the manly thing to do.
She breaks out of her dress and uses all of her power to heal Boji, and we see some backstory about when she entered the king's life and Boji was already there, and she tried to become friends with Boji, and then she did, and Boji and her were close until the new child was born, and then she had to be more queenly and take care of the new baby and blah blah blah, and then she became what is presented most of the time as an uber bitch,
a Circe, if you will.
It's a real weird presentation all around. We also see that in this flashback, an injured tiny triple snake shows up and at one point bites little Boji, but the queen kicks it and Boji's like, no, I let it keep biting me.
That's not the implication, Ram.
So
he's not into having a snake bite him.
He loves it. He's all into it.
He's not a nasty boy, Ram. He's not a nasty snake bite boy.
Boji is a nasty boy. He may look cute, but as we've seen, it's a mask. It's a mask. Don't believe his naive innocence, all right? He's a nasty boy.
He hides his nastiness through his innocence and, his love of all living things.
So he's like, no, I want it to bite me. And the mom's like, okay. So she goes and heals the snake, which is apparently, I guess that's why the snake is indebted to Boji and is then Boji's best friend from that point forward, despite biting him before and him doing nothing related. It was the mom who healed the snake.
Well, yeah, but clearly the snake was intelligent enough to realize that it was at the behest of Boji that it happened in the first place. That's the implication there.
I guess, but also the reason he got kicked in the first place was because of Boji. I don't know, man.
No. He got kicked because he bit Boji, and then the queen saw it.
Yeah.
And kicked him. I don't think that's Boji's fault. I mean, if anything, it's your fault for biting the boy, Snake.
It's just all weird. It's all weird. So I guess that's why the snake that has grown into a basilisk is indebted to Boji. I don't know, man. Anyway, she heals up Boji again, and then she's exhausted. We cut to a bit later where she's like, all right, you can go on an adventure, but you're bringing Domas and this one other dude, who fuck knows? Hokuro and Domas, bring them with you. Hokuro, he's just he's a peon. He's around. He's a guard.
He knows sign language though. That's what the important.
He's a guard who knows sign language.
Yeah.
And then as they go off, the queen is like, oh, I have a terrible feeling that I'll never see my boys again. And that's episode 3.
Oh, right. That's only episode 3. Holy shit.
All of that. I just want to remind you guys, the episode started with the devil emerging. That was the beginning of episode 3, guys. That was the beginning of that episode.
Well,
Yeah.
You know.
There.
It's
Yeah.
just a Chekhov's devil situation. By the end of the story, the devil will really pop off.
It's a packed episode. All right, 2 more episodes to go. Quite a bit. Episode 4, we get some brief exposition on Domas, the sword master, and we see that Daiada, that his evil reflection has already given the order to assassinate Boji. I don't know how the mirror gives orders, but it does. We don't know everything. It's an evil mirror. We know that.
It's turning the boy into Joffrey, you know?
Yeah, meanwhile, the Ranker of Kings has shown up. He just is a literal clown. He shows up, he's a literal clown, and he's like, time to rank the king. Which you'd think, like, the best time to rank a king would be, like, after, like...
He's had a chance to do stuff.
Yeah, so he'd be, if anything, he should be ranking the king that just died, but no, you get ranked the first day on the job. Which... questionable system, but alright. And it's mostly just on fighting prowess, so it shows up and it's like, alright, fight these things. This is your rank, I guess. It's not very well explained. But he immediately loses to a big golem, and he's told, like, it'll probably end up putting him in the, like, 90s or so of rank. He's just not getting a good rank. Boji, on his adventure, immediately gets distracted by a puppet show, takes a nap, and gets his bag stolen. That's the first thing he does.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe it's right to not want him as a king. Like, maybe that's reasonable, is all I'm saying. Alright, so now... So, they immediately find the bag and everything is in it, right? Mm-hmm. And they go on an adventure. We get a brief montage before Boji gets distracted by a butterfly and falls into a spike trap.
Oh, that was a short story. I'm glad that it ended.
And then he fucking dies.
Yeah.
No, he lives because his thing is that he's lucky, or he dodges, or he always survives. I don't know exactly what his thing is, but it's something like that, right? And I don't know how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how magical it is. Not sure yet. But he survives the pit, and he wanders around the corner, and there's this forest king dressed like Bigfoot who's like, come and join me. And he stays the entire evening with the forest king and eventually has dinner with the forest king. Domas and Hokuro are just looking for Boji. They got no fucking clue.
And pretty incompetent of them to lose a whole ass prince in such a short amount of time.
But into the night, having dinner with the forest king, where we see what I'm going to describe as a spirit vacuum sucking up the spirits of the dead pig that they're feasting on and all the dead animals, I guess, and spewing out more animals into the forest. And this is how animals are born. And the forest king is like, yes, time to do the dance of reconciliation. So they do what I'm going to call bad ballet together, Boji and the forest king. And then the forest king is like, but what if you are my next sacrifice? So Boji runs, and the forest king does not follow, and Boji immediately finds his companions, and they leave. Now let me tell you, the weirdest part about all of that is that I basically described it in real time. That's all, that's how long it took. Just very brief. Just a few minutes for all of that.
Well, you know,
what was the
kids
point?
these days don't have long attention spans. You know,
I don't know what the fuck is going on, dude.
Well, you just explained it, man. I feel like everybody could understand that. I feel like that's the way stories.
All right, now I want you all to forget about the Forest King. I want you all to forget about everything I just said because it's just no longer relevant. Just remove it. Don't worry about the giant spirit vacuum shadow thing. Don't think about the dance of reconciliation.
Don't worry about the trickle-down reincarnation.
Yeah, and don't worry about Boji, for some reason, staying the entire evening when his close confidants were out there looking for him. Don't worry about any of that. He meets up with them. They have an uneventful next day, and the next night, they're sort of in a deserty locale, and Boji is ready to eat before a couple of kunai come and spear the meat out of his hands. and the meat is taken by some foxes. And Domas is like, these are Bebin's kunai, the snake handler. He's like, where are you, you son of a bitch? But Bebin is nowhere to be seen. As it turned out, the meat was poisoned, and it kills the foxes. They are dead now. So the kunai actually saved Boji. Then they're like, hey, by the way, the next town we're gonna be in, you know what's special about it? Yeah, it contains a hole down to hell, right? It contains the literal gates of hell. In a very literal fashion, I want to be clear.
Oh, I mean, you saw
like,
a devil earlier.
Oh, yeah, cool. And so they go there, and Doma's like, hey, Hokuro, go find us a place to sleep for the night. It's like, cool. It's like, Boji, let's go look at the giant pit to hell that, like a geyser, but with fire, it'll occasionally just flame up, and it's gigantic. And then Domas is like, oh, man, that's pretty wild. And he yeets Boji into hell.
And that's where the story ends.
And the queen feels like a disturbance in the force. And Daiada is having a dream. And he's having a dream that his mom is like, here's Pandora's box, don't open it. But then the mirror is like, open it, bitch. And he opens it. And inside is all the evils in the world because it's Pandora's box. But then hope. And hope is Boji. And Boji is fighting off all of the darkness and evil in the world. And then he wakes up, and the mirror's like, it's time for us to go to the king's crypt. And so he does. And that's episode 4. I have questions about the pacing of the show. Because it's just nonstop. It is just torrential in the amount of shit happening. And also, a lot of it, I'm like, oh, this might be interesting, but I don't know if it means anything or how relevant it is. And then it's gone. And I'm like, what? Like, a lot of thought has been put into all of these elements, but it doesn't seem like a lot of thought has been placed into, like, piecing them together. It's a lot of cool shit, but the stitches are very obvious in putting them together. Like,
but you still have one more episode left to talk about, Rem. Surely, it all comes together at the penultimate halfway point.
All right, so episode 5, Boji is nice and safe because his crossbow from his bag went off with a rope attached, sort of grappling hook, and it saved him from the fall. And Kage the Shadow was in the bag because Bebin ordered the Shadow to protect Boji on this journey. And so he was the one who got the bag back and the one who threw the kunai at the poisoned meat, just because, you know, he knew in his little shadowy loins that it was poison. And he's the one who did the hook shot. And so we have a little backstory on, like, Daiada telling Damas to kill Boji, right? Meanwhile, Boji, they're traveling down into hell, but then some cursed gas shows up and it knocks them out. And some knights from the underworld grab them and bring them in. And I think like the king of the underworld or something is like, oh man, it's the king what's his face's son. That's wild. And that's what happens to Boji this episode. Not a lot happens to Boji this episode because a lot of focus is placed on Daiada. Daiada, he's going down into the crypt, right? He meets some fellas. I'm gonna call them Reapers because they both have scythes and creepy masks. So just some Reaper bros, right? And they help him in. The mirror is like, nah, yeah, they're with you. They're here to help you get the power of your father. And they open a giant door, and there's a bunch of frozen beasts in this crypt, right? Bunch of beasts that have been frozen for preservation, and of course, the king was frozen shortly after he was taken away, shortly after he died. Mm-hmm. Right? All right, well, number one ingredient that we need to take the frozen king and grind him up. Just grind up that frozen king and get the juice of his bone marrow. That's step one.
I'll be honest, Trev, that's just the main reason I wanted you to get to episode 5, because I wanted you to see this buck wild batshit scene.
So yeah, step 1, grind up your frozen father to get his juicy bone marrow.
I mean, we chose.
Step 2. Step 2. There's apparently a bit of a special brew on the mirror's behalf, a special potion that they've thrown there as well. Step 3, using the sunlight and a billion mirrors, heat up this ball intensely, which has an egg in it that will then hatch into a giant phoenix that they then trap, immediately behead, light on fire, and burn, so that its blood, which is holy, as well as the Jewel of Resurrection, are then also placed with the bone marrow juice combined with the special potion. All that's mixed together. Also, at this time, Apius, the spear guy, he's in the crypt too. He's not done anything, but he's around. So the mirror's like, all right, drink up. And Daiada is like, nah.
Yeah, nah. I feel like watching.
Which, like, don't get me wrong, it is obviously like a trap from the mirror to gain power, right?
Right.
And any power that Daiada gains is secondary to that. But like, you couldn't have had this moment earlier. And Mirror's like, come on, do it. And Daiada's like, nah. And Mirror's like, listen here, you son of a bitch, we'll make you do it. So the Reaper Bros, they try to grab him, but Daiada kicks their ass. And he dumps the brew of the Phoenix and Father brew. And that's where his part of the story of this episode ends. Domas, meanwhile, Domas is walking back after having yeeted Boji and thinking he's killed Boji, right? And Hikaru comes back. He's like, hey, Domas, where's Boji? And Domas is like, nah, Boji ain't around anymore. And Hikaru's like, what the fuck? The fuck you just say? And Domas is like, don't worry about it. Boji's gone now. And Hikaru's like, I think I need to kill you now? And so he brings the sword out and he swings. And initially, Domas, he blocks with his sword, but also his hand. And it cuts deep into his hand. Domas slashes at Hikaru. It's not clear in this episode whether he struck to kill or more like knocked out Hikaru. Mm-hmm. It's not super clear, but Domas decides he's gonna finish the job and cuts off the rest of his own hand. As episode 5.
You know, these things happen, Rem, and it's a complex thing, storytelling.
I don't know what it's going for. There's lots of interesting bullshit, but like, let me put it this way. There is no storytelling structure. There's an interesting story, but there is no structure. That is my stance on this show.
Would you like the answer to your question, Rem? It'll be immediately clear as soon as I tell you what I'm about to tell you.
Sure.
So there are two things I can tell you. One of them plays into your and my personal biases, which is not super great in ethical reviewing, but I'm going to have to tell you because, you know, it's important. Second, the first thing that you should know is that the studio that animated this was called Wit Studio, or Studio Wit, whichever you prefer.
All right.
And there's only really one thing you know them from.
Is it the Eternal Orb nonsense?
No.
Oh, fuck.
No. No, it's, get this. It's Attack on Titan.
What the fuck?
Yeah, same studio.
What?
Yeah, just...
That doesn't add up.
No.
A lot of times I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. This one I'm like, what?
But the real thing that'll make perfect sense to you, Rem, is that the source of this show is a web manga.
Yeah. I mean, I decided that the moment the Forest King nonsense happened.
Yeah.
The moment the Forest King nonsense happened, I was like, this is a smaller segment of something that they felt the need to put in here. Because there's no way it was placed in here independent of prior material. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that the moment that whole episode happened, I felt confident it was something down that vein.
But yeah, no, it's based off of a web manga, a very simply drawn web manga, actually. I took the liberty of reading a couple chapters just to see what it was like, and they do leave a couple things out in the anime adaptation, like the background to the snakes attacking him in the beginning as well. Like they,
Oh yeah.
they crammed approximately 8 chapters into the very first episode, which is not a great ratio. Granted, it's a very simplistic manga. It's very simplistic, like One Punch Man or Mob
How
Psycho,
can it be such a simple manga and such a complex anime?
I wish I could tell you, man. And also, I'll tell you this, the art in the anime is far prettier than the manga itself, because it does seem to be kind of like it's trying to be like a One Punch Man or a Mob Psycho in a lot of ways, because One Punch Man and Mob Psycho started out as web manga, and they had great success.
The art is wildly different than like anything we've covered. The closest is like it's a more basic Ghibli is sort of how I would describe the art style.
Yes,
where it's not like as all out as Ghibli, but that's possibly the closest anime parallel I can make.
Yes, like if I show you a picture of like a scan from the manga, like the web manga specifically, you'll understand immediately. Like it's somebody who definitely has a better grasp on art than say the author of One Punch Man, but it's very much has a lot of
oh god,
like it was the story that got it as popular as it is. So it's like
I see why they used random squiggles for the shadow design.
Yeah, no, and like a lot of like the face shapes vary throughout, and like it's very much like they saw the manga and saw how popular it was on the web, and they're like, hey, if we pretty this up a bit, I bet it'll be really popular. And that's kind of the route they're going, which is what happened with One's work. But the biggest difference there is One is quite a good writer, and it remains to be seen whether or not the creator here, Sosuke Toka, I haven't decided yet whether or not he is a really bad author or if it's just the nature of how this manga came into existence. I genuinely do not know yet. But apparently some studios, Studio Wit in particular, thought, hey, if we pretty this up and turn this into an anime, it could be something really quite good and special.
I think it is interesting, and maybe it might be special. It's definitely very different.
I mean, I think it's pretty fantastic that they have a main character who is deaf, honestly. And a lot of the sign language is accurate to actual sign language. Probably not ASL, probably the Japanese equivalent, but
I would assume as much.
Yeah, and I thought, that was a very fun. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. It's apparently supposed to be 23 episodes, not 12 or 13, whatever I said earlier. So it's definitely got a ways to go. But hey, you know what? Who knows? We just had a lot thrown at us at once, all kind of smashed together, and in theory, there could be a lot more going for it. But I'll tell you, when I first did the research for this episode, only 5 episodes had been out at the time. I think there's like 8 or 9 out at the time of recording, and I have not seen either. So
rigorous research.
Well, hey, it's hard to do research on something that doesn't yet exist in our country, mate. And I didn't want to just read the manga all the way through, because that would have taken extra time. But I think it definitely has potential to be more interesting. Whether or not it does or not, that's kind of up to the series. But quite frankly, Rem, quite a few people seem to be enjoying it currently, as is.
Well, I'm rating it favorably, largely because it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
But like only just.
Yeah, it's surprisingly grim as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, for such a cutesy, cartoony art style, it has some very grim themes.
Shit gets fucked.
Yeah, like, if this had been done in like a realistic art style, or like the monstrous races were like humanoid in particular, it would probably be a seinen thing. But no, it's just a cute little young adult little romp into kingship and the complexities of that. Care to take a guess at the MAL score for this show, Rem?
I think it's going to be like 7.8.
So this one is going to be a bit of a weird...
Maybe 7.75.
Okay, yeah. This one's going to be a bit of a weird one because it is a newer show still. But it's also based on... It's one of those shows that, based on art style alone, not a lot of people are going to immediately jump into it. It's kind of...
It's not same old isekai bullshit,
Yeah.
anime girl with big titties in the front.
Yeah. It's very much I would call this an Odd Taxi situation. Well, it doesn't seem to stand up to Odd Taxi in my opinion. It's the type of situation where you'd take a look at the cover and be like, that looks like some weird kiddie shit. I don't wanna watch that. Or it's like, it's not the badass shonen romp I want, or the great romantic comedy that I'm looking for. It just looks kind of like you said, kind of an off-brand Ghibli movie. And that has drastically reduced the amount of people that have seen it. Not to mention that as far as I know, it's only streaming on Funimation service, which is, not something that everybody has immediate access to or tries to have access to. Funimation, y'all, your streaming service has some issues. That's what I'm gonna say here. But you've gotten better over the past couple of years. But at any rate, its MAL score is going to be a bit skewed because it only has 29,000 ratings, which is very, very low in the grand scheme of things. But currently, with those 29,000 ratings, Osama Ranking is sitting at a nice and pretty, and quite frankly absurd, 8.85.
Holy fuck. Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's...
Oh my god.
That's small numbers coming into play. Because, like, a
Holy
good chunk of the
shit.
reviews, like, there are multiple reviews that give this a 10, which is buck wild in my opinion. The people are willing to throw their 10s after only seeing a handful of episodes, because at most of these reviews have been dropped after they've seen episode 6 by the looks of things, which is the buck wild. Like, there's a abnormally a high amount of high-rated reviews on this, which, with the small sample size, makes it obscenely high, which, I don't know, maybe there's something that you and I are missing in the show so far. It's hard to say.
Well, and once again, I'm ranking it favorably. I enjoyed it, and I do think that it's, like, wildly different than a lot that is going on, but also, its storytelling, pacing, and structure are egregious. It's got a lot of neat shit, but Jesus Christ, can you piece it together a little more coherently, please?
Well, maybe the remaining 15 episodes or so will be exactly what we need to piece everything together.
Maybe.
But it's wild. I think this is a wildly curious and interesting show, which is why I wanted to bring it to our attention. But also because of how fucking buck wild it is in terms of everything you've discussed. And I just had to hear how you felt about it, man. I just had to. And who knows? Maybe once it's actually all said and done and finished, I'll come back and talk with you about it, maybe have you watch the rest. Or maybe I'll watch the rest myself and I'll decide it's shit and tell you we don't need to bother, you know?
Oh, perfect.
But that is Osama Ranking, and I guess the final question is, Rem, is there any chance you'd like to watch any more of it with me?
Yeah.
You don't have a gun to your head, Rem. This is a genuine question this time.
I mean, I want to see what happens, but also Jesus fucking Christ.
You need a drink and a cigarette after this anime because it is fucking wild.
There's just a lot going on all the time.
Well, with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I have to read the Patreon shoutouts again this time, don't I?
No, I'm prepared.
You're prepared. Holy shit. Well, then I'll continue with my spiel. If you enjoyed listening to Rem have a mental breakdown at the idea of grinding and drinking your father, then please head on over to wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and leave us a review. It means the world to us, and we do read every single one. And if you'd like, you could even tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is one of the best ways to grow. But if you'd like to be more direct in supporting us, you can head on over to twitch.tv/animeoutofcontext, where myself and Remington occasionally play video games and talk about weird things while we play them. And lately, we've been starting the Dark Pictures anthology, which are a bunch of really mediocrely written B horror movies turned into video games, and we are just having a riot doing them. So come and join us for that. But if that is not enough and you want to support us even more directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you can gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including having the opportunity to have Dear Remington read your name aloud live on the podcast. So Remington, who are we thanking this week?
Well, of course, we would like to send our regards to all of our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we reach our yandere waifus, who are massacring all of our shadows. And on that list, we have
fuck.
Alex, insert the classic, like, computer startup sound of just, That, reap the name Rem, you coward. Also, that's not a B, it's an Ezet. Oh, Jesus Christ. Cursed, highly cursed.
You take a week off and already you're fucked up by it.
Xanax, Yandere Echo, you hear? We'll send baked goods if you watch Toradora. Oh, fucking baked goods. What kind of baked goods?
Don't listen to the bribery, Rem. Don't fall for the bribery.
Vanity Jordan, Juliana, Trevor Stoltz, Totally God, The Susanator, Sticky Jelly, Spark Project wants and Joey Wheeler. Hey, Yugs, we're gonna watch Toradora for Christmas. Happy holidays. Sorry, Mother, Silent Secondary, Senpai, Ga, Uzai, Kohai, Nohanashi is everything I wished it would be. Sarah Birch, Salty Pretzel, Remington Merrill, Remington loves Raya's left boob. Oh god, Ready to be Isekai. Please, Daddy Shaun, give us the Toradora Christmas episode. Woo.
Oh my Christ.
PSA for ADHD can make things hard, like updating a Patreon name, and that's okay. Check out Had ADHD on YouTube. Nope Rope 89, No Waifu, No Laifu, Navi, Mike the Mutilator. Mechanic Weeb wants to know which is better, Case IH or John Deere. I don't know. I'm not qualified for this discussion. Matthew Drum says Rem's a bitch. Marky Hughes, Mockshop92, Lukio, Luke Offenberger, Lucifer, Lonely Geek 23, Locked in Daddy Rem's Basement, Don't Send Help, Kazu Morocco, Casely Mosley, Cassidy, Just a Traveler, Jax, If the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists, Ichigo Simp 015, I want to hear Remington suffer and watch all of School Days. I Remington enjoy Moe Lolly Girls. I Remington am known as the voice of the people, and those people say Toradora. I guess you're on Keter duty. I found your secret stash of Hestia taking a bath foil White Swords climax cards. Get a better hiding spot, Shaun.
Hey,
it's true.
hold on.
You thought this was another Green Day repeat, but it was me, Dio. Hunter Davies. Hey, Rem, let me tongue punch your fart box. Good job, says Misaka. Len Michael Dolan. Girls unpans or when. Ghostly Bishi character ASMR has ruined my life. Gay as fuck, but without the fuck, cause I'm ace. Fuck of Love Foxen Boy. Ferd the Dude Man wants Dylan's smoothie silk voice whispered into his ear this Christmas. Farmer Weeb wants you to change your name to Toradora Christmas for a donation to the Tracy Aviary. Fallen Ghoul. Hey, Yugs, it's not always about the money, Yugs. Dylan, what editing software do you use? Datatype, Darkswim713, Danny Morbido, Creed 13, Cody, Shy900, Cheese Monkey, Cage in the House, Brockhard for Geodudes, Ariel Bird, Andrew Rauke, Elise Howard. Alpha Weeb also wants the Toradora revisit since my friend hated it when I showed it to him. All Father wants for Christmas is a Toradora Christmas episode. Adam McLaughlin and hashtag Toradora Christmas Sausage Fest. You know, it's a hell of a hashtag. All right, moving on. We get over to Hogwarts where we are doing the Boy Wizard tier. And on the Boy Wizard tier, everybody is going to get a top post of all time from reddit.com/r/Harry Potter. All right?
Okay.
So, you may say the barrel has fallen into the abyss. I, however, say it was made in the abyss. You get, after waiting nearly 2 months for my missing pieces, it's finally complete. And the dude, he completed the Hogwarts Lego set. And it's very well done. So that Hogwarts Lego set. Congrats, that's yours. Warning, you've reached the bottom of the barrel. You get, never thought about that, and it's Harry Potter named all his kids like some nerd who had just finished reading Harry Potter. God, it's so true. Tony the Great. Good old Frosted Flakes. You get the number 1 post of all time, Warwick Davis in his various roles in Harry Potter, and it's a picture of Warwick Davis posing with models of all the roles he played in Harry Potter. Shaun, I have to admit, I watch Boku no Pico in my free time, and I love it. You are going to get I Made a Model of Azkaban, and it's an insanely well done model of Azkaban. Just ridiculously good. Rem's Big Toe, you get, we all know who the favorite child was, and it's Molly Weasley, just a meme showing her preference for Harry over Ron. Pocket Gamer 513, you get accidentally bought the Gen Z / How Do You Fellow Kids dialect version of Philosopher's Stone. So I'll read one line of that. Talking about Mr. Dursley, he was dummy thick with 3 C's man with hardly any neck, although he had an absolute unit of a mustache.
I hate that.
So there you go.
That's going to live in my head forever.
You. P.I. Mayor, you are going to get Tom Felton reacted to my Harry Potter voice challenge on TikTok, and it's the guy doing all of the Harry Potter voices saying Harry Potter, and Tom Felton being very impressed. Pilkster the Symphogear advocate, you get 2 Harry 2 Potter, and it's the Vin Diesel car meme, but it turns around and it shows that he's in the car with crying little Ron Weasley. At Mizrar, you are going to get a Hogwarts Legacy official reveal trailer. MT the Poet, you are going to get Weasley is Our King, and it's a Tumblr post, the boy who stayed at school over Christmas break because his best friend didn't have a home. Real solid fella, that one. That was MT the Poet?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Momo the Griff, you get I'm Wheezing, and it's a meme from that just shows Harry Potter telling his son, Harry Potter 2, you were named after the bravest man I've ever known. It was me. I'm the chosen one. I killed Voldemort. Good meme.
God, I wonder if we're going to have to do like a Harry Potter meme review as like a bonus episode at some point. That might be interesting.
Mike wants an Overlord review. You have Am I Lying? And it's a meme talking about Harry Potter's hair in Goblet of Fire being huge. Miguel DeLeon, you get a bit late, but HPD to my favorite character, Hermione Granger. And it's a really well done picture of her throughout the movies in an original art piece. Real solid shit. Get Justin Kessinger, and here I was going through life thinking Harry is a nerd like me, and it's the Tumblr post talking about how Harry Potter was such a fucking jock. Inuyasha's my favorite cryptid, supports the Toradora takeover. It's Dumbledore's bookshelf quilt, happy with how it turned out, and it's a very well done bookshelf quilt. I live in Ogden, yes, that one. You are going to get Nobody Cares. I scored this whole set from a garage sale for $20, and I tried to brag nobody wants to hear it, so I thought I'd share it here. Thanks. They got all 7 books for $20 at a yard. That's a good deal.
Yeah,
I will continue asking for Toradora Revisit for Christmas, even if we don't get one, include sending multiple weekly emails.
Oh my Christ.
Good old harassment. You are going to get maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think this was the best casting decision. The whole series, he played him to an immaculate perfection, and it's Mr. Dursley.
Yeah, may rest in peace. Yeah, no, he did great.
I find how to ADHD helpful and inspiring. And then building soup. You are going to get He Calmly Asked, and it's the seagull inhales yelling meme with Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Most people are familiar with that general meme. Hinata's a Ball of Sunshine. You get Helena Bonham Carter's performance as Hermione pretending to be Bellatrix was so convincing that for years I legit thought it was Emma Watson in makeup. Well done. Solid shit. You thought it was Dio, but worse. It's really Bojack and Penny's boat scene. Fuck. That's nice and fucked up. Shaun, how much of Bojack have you seen?
I've seen the first season. And like 2 episodes of the second season because Dylan was watching it. And I was like, why am I watching this? It's just going to make me sad again.
You are going to get Harry Potter, a summary. And it's a capture of Chapter 4. Yes, of course I haven't told you, said Dumbledore. Gen 8 S tier, Rilladoof, Virgin Bidagon, Mommy Alcradoof, Vormax Corvidoof, Galarapidoof, also Toradora Xmas Revisit Lord V. You are going to get, Why Snape Hated Everybody. And it's just a list of why he hated everybody, but it's all related to Lily.
I mean, yeah, that was his entire character, but yeah.
It's true. Beethoven 1201. You get, this goes through my head every time I watch Goblet of Fire, and it's a Twitter post of Harry Potter in the year everyone needed a haircut.
Oh, God, I remember
and everyone's
that,
hair is just nice and long. Aaron Hegland, last but not least, you are going to get, always with the sacrificing, and it's a Tumblr post, Harry's evil clone. I'm the real Harry Potter, shoot him. Harry, the only way to keep the everyone safe is to shoot both of us. Hermione aiming at the clone. The real Harry would never pass up an opportunity to unnecessarily sacrifice himself for his friends. All right, there you go. Took way more effort than that was worth. You're welcome.
Don't worry, Rem. We'll sit down and do like an anime and Harry Potter meme review, and like all the hit YouTubers of the day. And that's only 10. I think that's a thing people do. I'm pretty sure that's a thing people do.
Perfect.
I feel like we'd be awful at it, but I'm sure we could.
Let's go to the Chef No Musco tier into the White House, where everybody is going to become the king of something. All right. So Tucker Schmidt, you become the king of Shaun's Docky Castle. It's all yours, bud. He has a castle made of Dockies, and you are the ruler of it, Tucker.
I can't even be the king of my own theoretical castle.
Oh, God, no. You are, let's face it, Shaun, you're the Boji of your own home. You're just not fit for it. Silicone Spectre, you are going to be the king of mild inconveniences. You rule over all of them and can bestow these mild inconveniences on whomsoever you may choose.
Oh, Jesus. Please don't become a tyrant.
Pope of the Church of Remington Chase, you are going to be the King of Kings. No, not Jesus Christ. You are Triple H, actually. So, professional wrestler Triple H. Hashire sori yokaze no yu ni Tsukimehara wo Padaru. But
God,
like
you
sung,
butchered that.
Oh no, but shut the fuck up. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I mean, I sang it last week. I thought you would have remembered.
You are going to be the King of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, that little fella. So,
oh jeez.
The
animated or the Tim Burton?
Animated, because I can't remember what he's like in Tim Burton, and that's probably for the best.
Dead.
Oh fuck. Just fucking dead. My dear old mom, you are going to become the king of the world, but hopefully not on the Titanic. And last but not least, paying for some reason extra money, and I don't know why, because this is not for a tier. Dylan Hayden, and you are going to get the king of Christmas. Christmas itself, it's all yours. You own Christmas.
You've dethroned Santa. You've dethroned Santa. Congrats.
Well, if you dethrone Santa, you become Santa. So congrats, Dylan.
Oh yeah, that is the Santa Claus.
You are the new Santa. Thank everyone. If you'd like to reach out, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConBot on Twitter or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love you very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister. He's kind of considered the useless prince because he's kind of, I wouldn't say stupid. I would say stupid.
If a shadow creature tells you to kill your parents, go for it. I feel similarly in that I eat such a barrage of juicy, nasty shit.